All right, give me the mic live. Welcome, YouTube world. So today we got an exciting guest today. One of my fraternity brothers, great friend, got an amazing story. We're gonna get into the story a little bit, but again, we're here at Give Me the Mic. This is a weekly podcast, and it's all about motivating, inspiring, and cultivating us, you, and welcome to the channel. With that being said, without further ado, we're going to begin to introduce Dr. Joshua Moore. I think we're going to have a break for a commercial. Am I right, Wood?
Just like everyone, my life is jam-packed. I'm always on the move. Whether it's personal or business, I live in the fast lane. But self-care, mentally and physically, is top priority for me. That's why I'm a part of the Texture Club at my favorite salon. They always treat you like family, and that experience leaves me wanting more. So instead of worrying about my ends, treatments, and styles, my easy monthly subscription to the Texture Club solves everything. I let the pros focus on my hair so I can focus on the other things that matter in my life.
All right, we're back. Of course, all this is sponsored by All Dolled Up Salons, Hair in the Spirit, where we, for us, by us, black owned business. Shout out Faye Bailey. Her birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday, mom. And again, let's get into yeah. So again, today we're going to be touching on a issue that's critical in the community. This story is twofold. So we talk about the health of a certain segment of people. Marginalized people typically have challenges in health. We're going to talk to an expert in that space, and we're also going to talk about career and professional opportunities for marginalized communities. So the guest today is Dr. Joshua Moore. He's a doctor, he's a fraternity brother, and he's a friend of mine. And without further ado, I'll let him kind of introduce himself and give you a 90-second elevator pitch about who Dr. Joshua Moore is.
Bailey, thank you for having me on the show. Happy birthday, moms. Ay, Happy birthday, moms. And the production value, phenomenal. I think I need to sign up for the Texture Club. I need to get a discount on that, though.
That's right.
Um, so my name is Joshua Moore. I'm a general surgeon. I practice in South Florida. My office is in Davie, and I'm a member of the Center for Advanced Robotic and Endoscopic Surgery. So I'm a board certified general surgeon. I mostly practice minimally invasive and acute care surgery. People ask, what does that mean? I do a lot of robotic surgery, and I also do a lot of the kind of things that come in through the emergency department, like appendix surgery, gallbladders, abdominal wall, hernias, things like that. So I practice all over Broward. Like I said, my office is in Davie, and yeah, I've been in surgery since completing my residency in 2017. I've been practicing in South Florida the entire time.
And hey, is an amazing doctor, medical professional. He's gave me a couple great referrals as well. So, can I talk about mine? Yeah, I did the big snip. I did that one. Gave me some referrals. Brothers, get your colons and your prostates checked.
Right.
But he's definitely a resource for medical experiences. So now, Doc. So we're gonna get into a couple questions. I kind of gave you a heads up on it. Now, again, don't take it personal, but you got locks. You're African American. Do you have a doctor in the family? Like, did anybody was a doctor in your family?
So I've got a cousin, like a second cousin that's a physician. Um, but as far as like immediate family goes and folks that I'm really in contact with a lot, I'm the first. I was fortunate to grow up in a household with two college educated parents. Matter of fact, my grandparents were college educated as well with
Wow.
master's degrees. So I came from a background of that put a lot of focus on academics.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so I'm the first doc in my immediate family. Um, and it was definitely a journey to get here. Um,
Yeah, because
but
you're not the traditional. You don't have the traditional look. When this is just me, generalizing. I mean, you just look young. You look cooler. You don't look like the docs that I used to see on, television.
we changing the perception. That's one of the things that we're here to do, is change the perception.
Right.
So, it was funny because when I started growing my hair in medical school. That summer before I started medical school at University of Miami was the first time I went to the continent. I went to Africa. I stayed in Senegal for a month, doing some medical work in one of the remote villages in a place called Saraya in Senegal. And that was the last time that I cut my hair. Was
Mm.
before that trip to Africa. And then when I got back, I just decided I'm never cutting my hair. I want this to be an expression of my heritage and of my African roots. And
So
it
did they
was
Sorry to interrupt. Did they have like everyone had locks over there? Like what was Senegal? Everybody got locks in Senegal? What explain?
Well, listen, I mean, it's West Africa, so they're in touch with, like, you know, it's the diaspora is real connected.
Mhm.
American hip hop culture actually is big over there as well.
Mhm.
Obviously, Akon comes from Senegal,
Oh
so
wow.
there's a lot of things that were shared: hairstyles, just the vibes of, obviously a lot of our culture is rooted in there. And it was really cool to go over there and see the impact that the Black American culture has had back on our brothers and sisters over there in the mother continent. So there was a handful of people with locks over there, and natural hairstyles. This was like 2008, so there were still a lot of low boys.
Okay, yeah.
But
That's what
nah,
I was
there
wondering.
were a few. But my thing was, I came back and I felt like
Yeah, you
natural.
had
I'm gonna stay
right.
natural and let everybody know I came back with like a shell necklace and everything. And I'm like, yeah,
Oh, okay.
this is me.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we're gonna touch on that too, guys. I don't know if I mentioned the diet, but we'll talk about the diet. I want to ask you one question though. Like, so before you became Dr. Moore, like what inspired you to start the journey of medicine? Because like one of the barriers to like these high paying specialized fields is like, man, I gotta commit my life, my soul, and my time to like coming into this world. Like, so
Mhm.
what inspired you to even start the journey of saying, hey, I'm gonna be a doctor? Or was that something that you kind of just fell into?
Nah, I mean, so I was always into science as a kid, and very, I was really ambitious. And like I said, I've got a very strong academic background in my family, and I never thought that there was something that I couldn't do. Um, when I was in around sixth or seventh grade, my dad had open heart surgery, and that's what kind of turned me on to the idea of surgery. A
Mm,
lot of people, they're interested in medicine. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, so I thought I wanted to be a
mm,
heart surgeon.
mhm,
So that was kind of it for me. I was amazed that you could do what those folks did for my dad. And my dad was 49 at the time. My dad is pushing 79 now
mm.
and still very healthy. So it was an amazing gift that those surgeons gave to my father. And you know it inspired me to want to get into surgery. Now, I thought I was going to be a heart surgeon, but as I got into training, I kind of found my place, and it was more in general surgery, more so than cardiothoracic surgery. But that was it, man. That was it. I was so impressed by what they did to and how they changed the trajectory of my family. Those surgeons.
Wow. Okay. So interesting. Because obviously, like one of the challenges that I'm always kind of dealing with in my head, the psychological challenge I'm dealing with in my head is how do we get more of us into these spaces of, opportunity? And like obviously, you'll touch on it, but becoming a doctor itself is like the highest pedigree of the field. And as I'm on my law school journey, like we always go back to this. A lot of bruh say, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Bro, we're doing it for the founders, bro. Doctors, bishop." You
Uh-huh.
know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
It's the highest achievement that you can make in the scholastic space, and the doctor is the medical professional. You're the highest quality, highest profession that you can get into. Like that's a big deal. So, like, how do you see like your role in medicine now? Like, how is it going to impact? Like, how can you impact the community in terms of like business and opportunities and empowerment now that you're in this space? Like,
Yeah, man. So impacting the community, one of the ways that, I want to recruit more folks
right.
that look like us. I mean, you know, Black Americans, people who identify as African American, we make up something like 13% of the population in the United States. We only make up somewhere around 6% of the of medical of doctors. I can't speak to the entire medical profession, but of
Mhm.
doctors. And part of it is me just being my authentic self. I
Right.
do my best to not code switch. I've got my locks. You know,
Right.
am who I am when I go to work, and the patients see it. Um, the other people, like the medical students, the people see it, and people understand that, like, this person is somebody who's like me. I'm not
Right.
somebody. Yeah, I did. Like I said, I did have a strong academic background, but I'm not different from anybody else. And me being the authentic me is the best way for me to get other people to understand that they can do this too. It's a sacrifice, of course, but everything that's worth having is going to come with sacrifice. Um,
So So
yeah,
with that note, so again, we had a retreat this last week. Went to FAMU Law. Shout out to Tallahassee family. So so I'm at a black namesake law school, Benjamin
yeah.
L. Crump College of Law.
No, yes,
Bro, imagine that one.
yes.
So then of course we go for the regional Black Law Student Association. We go to a event at FAMU Law, which is a HBCU Florida law school now. And the first question out the gate at our symposium was black male enrollment in education. We're talking about 40 education is down 40%. Second, and this is from 2020 to 2024. Second, black male enrollment in law schools are down, I think, 50%. So, and this is again, we can't even really blame students for fair academic admissions. We can't explain. We can't, affirmative action. Like, what's your thoughts on that? Can you touch on that one from a medical standpoint? Like, how many brothers did you see in med school?
Man, I think there were seven of us total in the class of 150, and we were real tight knit. And we were each other's support system. Um, Man, those numbers are kind of shocking. My mind is blown that it's down that much just in that short amount of time. I don't know if that's got to do with this new wave of influencers or what it is. People thinking that there's other ways to get to the money for sure.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know, man. Like, it's there. It is a big investment. It is a big time investment. I didn't start getting that check, like getting that bag, until I was well into my 30s.
Right.
Whereas other people, so I lost,
So
you
you
know,
couldn't flex. You couldn't flex in your 20s. Like you weren't having the, you
none,
know.
none of that. Listen, all I could flex on was like, hey, I'm gonna have money one day. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Oh,
Like,
future investment,
yeah,
future
I'm a
value.
future investment. That's right. But nah, those are mind blowing numbers, man. I don't know what's behind that. There's a lot
Right.
of factors, obviously. We could talk
Right.
about that all day.
So my conversation was, because I mean I was kind of on edge about it because it went on for like 30 minutes. And the women were saying, "Oh, it's because of this, it's because of the historical, the traditions, and all of these things." And but the question I was in my head, I was like, "We can't answer that question. We got to get the brothers that are not enrolling, that are out there. They got to come in here and talk to us and tell us what is it. Why
Facts.
are we deciding to?" Again, if I know medicine is you're in one of the highest paying professions in the world. It should attract the most ambitious, the brightest of us to go into that space. but it just doesn't, like, and again, same thing with law school, thing with engineering. It's just not attracting us in the groves that we should, especially being that we are the minority in almost all economic indicate economics, education. Seems like there's a ton of opportunities. So with that being said, like, what do you think the future hurdle for medicine is? It doesn't have to necessarily be around our demographic, but what do you think the biggest hurdle for the future of medicine is? We know we're going to be faced with some challenges, but what is medicine for Dr. Moore looking like in the future?
I think, listen, the money thing is the biggest challenge going forward. That's the biggest hurdle. It's a double-edged sword because, capitalism is a huge driver of innovation. It usually, when it's done right, it's supposed to attract the most talented people. Um, but you look at the situation with the United States healthcare system, we got the most expensive healthcare system in the world, but our our quality of life as far as our health is lagging behind even some, not first world countries.
Right.
So I think, like, we've politicized it. There's a lot of organizations and people that are making a whole lot of money off of medicine, and there's a lot of sick people still. So I think trying to figure out how to balance the innovation that capitalism brings, but also tried to make it so people aren't excluded is, that's the big hurdle. It's sweet for a lot of insurance companies and things like that. They're getting their bread,
Wow.
regardless.
So I heard somebody say it like this. He says America is one of the is a funny. He kind of, I'm summarizing it, but he said America is funny because we had the battle over our healthcare system. I think Obama brought up really to the forefront the Obamacare initiative.
Hmm.
And it was really like you had one group of people saying, I want to pay for my health insurance. Like, I value privatizing and paying for my own health insurance as a right. And the other world is like, who wants to pay for health? Like, it should not be something you are paying for in an industrialized nation.
Bro, I've
But in
I've
America,
never
we've
had
accepted. We want the capitalistic healthcare system.
I've never had enough money to be like, nah, I just want to pay. I want to pay as much as possible. I don't get it. I look at other Western countries, and we would have to do it in our own way because we've got
Mhm.
300 plus million people, and we've got all sorts of different medical issues. And a big part of this also that I want to mention is the Western lifestyle.
Mhm.
The Western lifestyle is not the healthiest lifestyle. That's another huge hurdle for medicine,
Yeah.
and that's also going to make things more difficult. We got this system where it's about treating and not curing, treating and not preventing. And if we lived a lifestyle where we put more focus on getting enough sleep, eating the right types of foods, having a lower stress lifestyle, and getting enough exercise.
I
We,
won't be
we,
battling PPO, HMO,
yeah,
copay.
yeah,
That
we
thing is a
wouldn't
matrix
worry
too.
about that so much. But
Right.
that's our culture, bro. I'm seeing diseases like diverticulitis, colon cancer. These things are happening in people who are younger and younger. You're seeing it in people in their 40s and people in their 30s.
Mhm.
And part of it is just that's our culture. We're always on the move. We're eating bad food. We don't have enough time to exercise. We're stressed out. We're not getting sleep.
Right.
And I think that our health system capitalizes off of that.
Right. And speaking of that, so you're how long you been you're vegan, right? Are you, what do you call yourself? Are you what's your dietary
Yeah,
label?
if I had to give it a label, is I'm a vegan. I
Okay.
eat a
So
plant-based
you
diet. Yeah.
plant-based diet. So how
Yeah.
long have you been plant-based diet?
I lose track. My son was 2, so 7 years, something like that.
7 years. Oh, that's
7,
not
8
bad.
years.
Okay, 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before that, I was a vegetarian for a while. Um, yeah, it's been a minute since I actually ate meat. It's been like 2006 was the last time that I ate chicken with the bros off the grill. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
fries and the chicken. Yeah.
yeah.
Did they force you? Did they force you to eat some non-vegan alternatives?
Nah, nah,
Okay,
nah,
you good?
nah,
Oh, okay,
nah,
good.
nah.
Bros
They may
behaving.
have tried,
Let me
tried to
find
force
out. Let
it.
me call. Let me call them up. Okay. So Okay, so Dr. Moore, let's go into again. We want to inspire somebody today. Somebody's gonna watch this video, and I'm always running into younger people trying to plan their careers out. And I had a guy. I told a guy today. He was asking like, "Oh, I'm getting ready for school," and I said, "So what are you thinking?" He's like, "I'm thinking this." I'm like, "Why are you thinking this?" He says, "Because it's easy."
Mm, 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 mm.
And I said, "Man, you understand? We are in a capitalist country. Easy might be a trap. It might be a trap
Easy
for you.
trap.
You want to look for something that's going to be able to provide for you the right income. Look at incomes and opportunities as a way to go. So like, but again, first you got to see yourself in these spaces. So, my next question is like one of the biggest challenges most of us face in our life is setting a goal, like setting an aim. Like, yeah, I want to be a doctor one day. Like, how do you overcome that, like, with imposter syndrome out there? Like, I don't see a whole bunch of executives that look like me. So how do I, like, say I want to be an executive? Like, how did you overcome, like, being a doctor?
So crazy thing is, man, like imposter syndrome for me didn't start until I got here.
Mm.
When I was younger, when I was in high school and all of that stuff, I took a lot of listen, I took a lot of pride in like letting people know, like, yo, if you don't know what I got in store, just check in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm not who you think I am.
Right.
I'm all of that and then a whole lot more. So it was kind of like that defiant nature that kind of powered me through. It gave me, I had a chip on my shoulder. Bro, like, quick diverge real quick. Like people didn't think I was going to college just because I'm laid back and whatever.
Mhm.
Um, I only applied to Florida State. That was the only school I wanted to go to. I go no, we having a hard season, but
Yeah,
um,
we are. I'm sorry.
that's real tough, bro. Moment of silence
Mm.
for Florida State football.
Yeah.
But um, you know, bro, like when I got into college, like people were surprised, and I was like, I'm not doing this to like y'all can doubt me all you need to, right?
Right.
But the imposter syndrome really didn't start until I got here and I didn't have anything to prove anymore and I was just here and I didn't have
Here meaning when you got your like first residency, you got into med school, or like when
yeah, like
you
when
got
I
a check.
finished residency and got the job, and then
Okay.
I'm working with a whole bunch of people who don't look like me and don't feel like they relate. They can relate to me, so you don't necessarily get the benefit of the doubt. Something happens,
And they're paying. What was your, if you don't mind, can you tell our audience what was
yeah.
your first salary? What was the first salary of a doctor
Oh my
that you did
god.
all the work?
So after listen, my last year in residency, I was making more money, like at 65,000 something. I was making more money than my parents were making when I was
Mhm.
a kid. I thought that was crazy. My first job, I was making 350, I think, 350, 325, 350, something like that. I was getting these
Right.
checks. I was like, what do I do with all of this money? I had no idea what to
Yeah.
do.
So you're making
Fortunately,
350,000
yeah.
and you were in the hospital. You're like, what am I doing here?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We
Okay.
took me and the wife took some trips. We did some things,
Right.
but fortunately, I had people around me that I got set up with financial advisors, did all the retirement stuff, put the money in the right places.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But you know, the way to battle the way that I battled in that imposter syndrome was two things. One was finding people who I could relate with, who were, the other outliers in the medical field and making them a part of my tribe and making sure that I was around them as much as possible. And then the
Mhm.
other thing, which is the most important thing, is I started just rooting for myself all the time, celebrating all of my wins so
Mm.
that I'm hard on myself, but celebrating all of my wins so that when you do have an L, you can say like, listen, L's happen,
Right.
but this is what you've done.
Right.
You hold yourself to this high standard for such a long time, and it's like you expect perfection, and that's kind of part of what adds into that imposter syndrome.
Yeah. 'Cause now you're in practice for real. Now it's
Yeah.
the time. You're in practice.
Hmm.
Okay. So you got to surround yourself around. the outliers, which is you got to go find that tribe and community. So essentially, now you're that tribe and community. So have you had like young doctors reach out to you and say, "Hey, Doc Moore, have any of the bros reached out like, hey, I'm thinking about this track."
Yeah, man, we got the brus. We have the Medicus, which
Okay,
is an amazing pipeline that the that our chapter brother, Inaki Bent, you got to have him on the show.
that's
Um,
Naki.
he started Medicus, and now it's a nationwide organization that does mentoring, and it's got everybody from some of the top medical experts in America all the way down to aspiring medical students. So we got that pipeline for the Qs, and I
Nice.
definitely recommend every organization, Divine Nine, anything, start
Yeah.
something like that. They should have something like that.
So you-
Mentorship is key, man.
Right.
Mentorship is so important.
So you were able to dig in there, have some questions. I know he gave you the play. We don't
Mhm.
have much time. We got like 5 minutes left, but I
Oh
know he
man,
gave you the play on how to get in there
give me the
because you did
blueprint.
have your challenges in med school. Like, what was your biggest challenge in med school or getting into med school?
Getting into med school, that MCAT.
Hmm.
So yeah, getting in that MCAT is a tough test. But
Hmm.
um, my Naki Bent, my mentor, got me into the MCAT prep program, and it helped me get my scores up. It was also run by another bruh, Astrid Mack, rest in peace, who was at University of Miami, and he was over the Office of Diversity, and he helped a whole bunch of Black and brown aspiring doctors get into medical school from his program.
Mm, okay. All right. So we got a quick question. How much of the younger generation not going into these fields can be attributed to the younger generation to access to instant gratification?
Bro, I
That's
think that
answered the question right there.
Yeah, I think that's it, man. I think that people, but it's always been like that. It's always been this like, hey, what's the shortcut? What's the
Right.
shortcut? And listen, if you can do it, more power to you. Like I said, I didn't start earning money for real until I was until I was 30 plus.
Mhm.
Don't do that. SMU, don't do that. Don't do
And
that.
Corey went to FSU too, bro. Come
Oh,
on
that's
now.
that's
Even
green.
if we code switching right now. Okay. So
You know,
yeah, I think that answered the. I mean, yeah. So we know it's instant gratification. I mean, yeah, and they dropped the article about the OnlyFans making millions of dollars.
yeah,
That was a
yeah,
crazy one too. Because I was
yeah.
in my brain, I'm like, I need to set up an OnlyFans, but that's that's how easy it is to get distracted.
That might be a
Okay,
good idea. Like I set up the OnlyFans in the
make a
operating
positive one,
room.
a
If I
positive,
could
not
do it, no, but I do it in the OR and just make sure
yeah,
I blur out all the
yeah.
protected patient information. I might be able to get some subscribers. Would y'all
Okay,
subscribe?
let's run it. We'll subscribe.
Yeah,
Let's run that. Can I
yeah.
get a piece of that? That'll be the marketing.
You get, yeah, man.
All right. So
Let
we
me know.
got 2 minutes
Connection.
left. We're gonna go into a lightning round. I'll give
Boom,
1 minute
let's do
for
it.
lightning round. Okay, quick question. So what ways do you see, because you're in robotics, so we got
Yeah.
1 minute to talk about robotics. In what ways do you see medicine evolve into the future? And how are you gonna adopt that into your business and your development?
So tech is huge in medicine, surgery. Like, we're meeting with these people, and we're giving feedback on what should be the new features of the robots. Everything that we do in surgery is tech focused, from the type of hernia mesh that I use to the type of sutures that I choose, to the different instruments and the different tweaks that they have in the instruments. Medicine is becoming more and more tech heavy, and it's a beautiful thing to be a part of, to see it happen.
Okay. So yeah, you got the robots in there. So we'll double back and we'll do something where we can actually see the robots going in. That'd
Yeah.
be a great OnlyFans, see the robot chopping something up. Okay, so lightning round. So I'm gonna say a word, and then you're gonna say the first thing comes to your mind. You can't think about it. You got to spit fire. We'll edit anything that's
Oh,
crazy,
boy.
but spit fire. Uh, say a word. First thing that comes to mind. American dream.
Capitalism.
Oof. Health.
Nutrition.
Donald.
X.
What do you call
Nowhere near the White House ever again.
it? Ever again? Okay. Microphone.
Um, Voice.
AI.
Future.
Future.
Present.
Present. All right, and that concludes another 30-minute segment. Again, Mike, you survived, you motivated, you've inspired, and you have cultivated a better, more amazing community for us. And we thank you, Dr. Moore. And of course, we'll be supporting your career. I'll be sending some more. Hey, Corey, you got the snip yet? We got my boy over here. We'll get you cleaned up in no time. So get me a referral on that one. But we thank you for being on Give Me Mike.
Man, I appreciate you for having me. This was great, man. We should do it again.
All right, Woody, we ready?